they say that after, sorrow comes anger, and after anger comes a sense of being able to move on and past things. But, right now, instead, I feel weighed down by sorrow. I feel, and people will call me soft and all sorts of things. I get called names all the time. Who cares? But sorrow for how we've allowed this to happen to our country. Sorrow for the ease with which we move on, numbly, after each new atrocity. And most of all, I feel sorrow for the families left behind, one of whom most recently, I won't tell you who, reached out to me through social media this week, asking me to not stop doing what I do, to keep speaking up, even if right now it feels incredibly insignificant. It was a moving message to receive, and I can understand that being in this individual's situation, I would be exactly the same. Begging for someone to just feel like they're listening to you, that you can be listened to. But when I look at, tweets from the not too distant past, like the one from Tobias Elwood, I think it only deepens that sorrow. Elwood in this tweet accuses Nigel Farage of inflaming the tensions by questioning the motives behind the Southport attack, demanding that he actually delete his tweet as if Farage's concerns were totally unfounded. But the tragic irony here is that Farage was totally justified in his questioning, and that's what it was, questioning. We can't even do that. The 18-year-old, currently facing charges of murder and attempted murder in the Southport attack, has also been charged with attempting to make a biological weapon using the toxic ricin and possessing an Al-Qaeda terror manual. Now, these are allegations yet to be proven, but they're deeply serious, and people deserve transparency, especially when safety concerns are involved, and in my opinion, perfectly justifiable. Now, just as outrage begins to build, ask yourself, what did the government do? Well, they decided to throw us a shiny distraction. They said, oh, look, an early minimum wage increase. Here you go, peasants and plebs. Take this little trinket to divert your attention. I mean, do they think that'll do the trick? Will that do the trick? A fellow journalist asked me if why the hell I'm so upset, angry, moved, whatever. And to be honest, I can't comprehend the mindset of someone who wouldn't be fuming right now or upset right now. How could anyone look at what's happening in this country and wonder why the blood's boiling? But let's add a bit more salt to the wound then, because, when I consider Rhiannon Sky White, the murder of Rhiannon, the authorities' first priority wasn't, the safety of girls or women like Rhiannon. It was about clearing out hotels to make room for illegal migrants to be protected. And, it just feels like British citizens like Rhiannon are being pushed to the sidelines, and the message to the public made very clear and, in my opinion, deeply troubling. And don't get me started, if we consider going back to, 2017, when the Manchester Arena bombing took place. You remember a security guard spotted a suspicious individual with a backpack, an absolutely massive backpack. But what did they do? How did they act? Well, they acted, my friends, with fear. Fear not of the man with the big backpack, but fear of being accused of racism if they dare challenge and search this fella with a black backpack. And consider the young British girls systemically abused in towns across the country, with authorities too paralysed, of course, by political correctness to actually protect them. And the voices that were most vocal around that, of course, were met with scorn, ridicule and derision. And then you consider someone more recently like Peter Lynch, that 61-year-old grandfather and protester, the first anti-immigration protester, or maybe not even anti-immigration protester, someone concerned by what's happening to his country. I don't know, but he was the first to die in prison after being jailed. He was jailed over charges of violent disorder, labelled a conspiracy theorist, and I've no doubt left feeling pretty unheard, pretty vilified for daring to be angry, and now he's gone. And you ask yourself, what does Sir Keir Starmer do in that scenario? Well, he accuses people like Lynch of being far right, and he dismisses public concerns as misinformation, disinformation, these watchwords of the moment that actually, frankly, make my blood run cold. Starmer and his government brand absolutely anybody questioning their agenda as rabble-rousers, as though the British public are to be dismissed rather than listened to. As I say, give them a few little pennies in the form of a minimum wage increase. They'll go away. They'll forget. They'll get back to their lives, back to their television sets, Xbox controls, social media posts, whatever. They'll forget. They'll move on. But let's make one thing crystal clear. Someone like Peter Lynch absolutely didn't have to die. These, I'm afraid to say, some of the girls mentioned, all of the girls mentioned, everything that's happened there. Why did this need to happen? But the government's approach to actually policing concerns, protests as they call them, I think has been incredibly heavy-handed. The response to social media posts as well, banging people up for sharing memes, leading to a total sense of mistrust among those who feel unheard. Were all the protesters' actions above reproach? No, I don't think that for a second. You know, I'm not too far away from Sunderland. Do I think parts of Sunderland should be burning? No, I don't. But what happens when people feel their voices are ignored, that their anger is brushed aside, that they're punished for simply wanting their country to return to some semblance, a scintilla of sanity and safety? This isn't about exclusively two-tier policing. It's about a two-tier society. We're urged to celebrate diversity, but many of us are asking if current policies are actually fostering unity or comprising community cohesion and safety and stability, or actually causing sectarianism, division, and frankly, a lack of safety and security, as I say. I mean, we're expected to watch these horrors unfold and keep quiet with watching through our fingers, the cracks in our fingers, and look on while British citizens are silenced and sidelined. I mean, how many more tragedies will it take for those in power to actually grasp that the British people are running out of patience? Because when leaders fail to listen to the concerns of the public, it's only natural then that people would feel frustrated. I think it's high time that our leaders address the concerns openly and responsibly. That clearly hasn't happened here. I don't think Sir Keir Starmer is fit for office, but I fear what would come after him. I tell you that much for free. I think he owes the British people an apology, and if he had an ounce of integrity, I think he'd potentially offer his resignation. But somehow, I doubt we'll see him take responsibility anytime soon. And no doubt for saying all of this, I'll be accused of stirring up resentment. I'll be accused of inciting something, which I'm absolutely not doing. You know, you won't see me clambering to get out onto the streets and cause fires or anything like that. But you will see me continue to speak about issues like this until I'm put in a metaphorical or literal gulag, because I feel my own heart breaking. My voice is starting to break. And I feel the nation's heart breaking as well. And I can't understand how anyone could reach any other conclusion.